What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Nikolai Espresso, and welcome back to another episode of the 5 things that changed here. This one, once again, on Tuesdays for a Modern Warfare Remastered campaign edition with this one. So today in this one, we're going to be talking about 5 different changes within the campaign of Modern Warfare Remastered. Some trivia that you guys may or may not have noticed while playing through it here once again. It is available for PlayStation 4 users right now that pre-purchased it. And if you guys want to check that out, of course, you have the ability to do so. But with this one, once again, we're going to be taking a look at the trivia, some of the things that you might have missed that are changed up from the very original COD 4 back in 2007. So that said, if you guys do enjoy this, make sure you drop a like rating down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing. The button down there takes literally a half second to do, and you get notified every time we do a campaign changes or an episode of 5 things that change, regardless if it's a campaign or if it is a Modern Warfare Remastered, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, whatever it may be, you guys get notified of it every single time we upload that. So all that out of the way, let's talk about our 5 changes here within this episode. Firstly, we're going to start out with one that actually precedes a point that we made in the very first campaign changes episode here of Modern Warfare Remastered, that being for Aftermath. We talked about the changes within that mission, but this one comes in the way of Shock and Awe, the mission leading up to that point where you try and capture Al-Assad, but in the wake of all of this, you have to go back for a pilot, and then on the way out, you're extracting from the city, a nuke goes off in the distance, your helicopter goes down, and well, then that leads us right into Aftermath, where we saw exactly what happens there. Jackson and the rest of the crew end up dying in the wake of the nuclear explosion. However, in the process of the helicopter going down, there is one scene that you guys may have actually noticed or may not have noticed. That being the sequence where the helicopter is going down and Lieutenant Volker ends up eventually falling out of the helicopter. You and the rest of the crew end up going down with the helicopter, but Volker was thrown out by the downward spiral, and as a result became one of those things that a lot of people remembered from a COD 4 campaign, or at least a campaign in general. Somebody just completely falling out of a helicopter right in front of you. In the original version of Shock and Awe, he ends up just getting thrown out or being sucked out, however you want to look at it. Nothing was impeding his progress from being thrown out. He simply is cleanly swept off his feet and into the air and then eventually onto the ground. However, in the remastered version, there's a little bit of a change up here with this. You playing as Jackson initially tried to hold on to Volker as he falls out. You're holding him there as he's being pulled out, but eventually he ends up slipping through your grip and he still eventually falls out, but the manner in which so it looks a little bit more as if rescue mission was at least attempted instead of just being hopelessly thrown out of the helicopter. So while it isn't really anything in our control here, the way that it was approached was a little bit different and made it a little bit more cinematic, I personally believe, and also made it a little bit more gripping because you're trying to hold on to your fellow soldier and you just cannot do it, and that becomes vindicative of the entire mission as a whole. I personally think it was a great touch, but that is going to move us into the second change here with this one. We're going to be dealing with the mission Crew Expendable. This one is another fan favorite mission, one that everybody seems to remember quite perfectly from the heyday of COD 4 and its original version of the game. However, it was one of those things that with the remaster, a lot of people gravitated towards the graphics, a lot of people gravitated towards the updated versions of it, and just being genuinely in awe with the mission as a whole. A lot of people would gravitate towards main focuses of the mission, say when Captain Price picks you up and says, "We're leaving," or things like that, the getaway, the escape, because there's so much going on that it just looks absolutely beautiful as a remaster. Whereas the original still looked great, this was something that it just made it look 20 times better, 10 times better, whatever you want to compare it to. However, one thing that some people may not realize is that whenever you eventually get onto the helicopter to fly away at the very, very tail end of the mission, the ship is a little bit different in the way that it was presented in COD 4's original version. In the original version, you just fly off into the distance and you see the ship sinking. However, in the remastered version, you fly off into the distance and you see the ship sinking and it explodes at one point. Now, the mere statement of that may seem underwhelming, but when you look at it visually, it's something that, as a comparison, it makes it look a lot more dramatic, it makes it look a lot more authentic, and it really makes it look a lot more powerful. The scene is one that a lot of people remember, COD fans especially, from the campaigns, through any of the campaigns in the Call of Duty franchise, and being able to compel that giant power, that explosion, and setting up the missions that were to follow in Modern Warfare, it is something that definitely adds a lot to it, and I think is a very good change here with this one. But number 3, we're moving along into that one. one, that is going to be a slight difference in the mission one shot, one kill. For those of you guys that are not familiar with the mission, you end up trying to take out Zakhaev 15 years earlier than the setting of Modern Warfare with Captain McMillan as a young Price. Now, once again, in this mission, it's something that a lot of people remember distinctly, but one thing that may slip under your keen eye is something that is at the very beginning of the mission. Whenever you approach the Barrett 50 cal, you have an image of Zakhaev that you can use as reference, assuming you didn't already know what he looked like, but this is something that in the original, it's a little bit placed differently than that of the remastered version. The original version of One Shot, One Kill has the image propped up per se. It's a little bit elevated, whether it's something that is attached by the sniper or it is propped up against something, it definitely is not laying flat. However, in the remastered version, this is something that it is changed around a little bit here, whether or not it was something that directly fit the ability of the design team to be able to lay it flat on the ground, whereas they previously could not. This is now lying on the ground with a brick covering it to keep it from blowing off in the distance, making once again a little bit more realistic of a feel here instead of a floating piece of paper that your character uses as a reference. In the grand scheme of things, does this make any real difference to the game? Not necessarily, but it does once again add a little bit more realistic of a feel to this, and it's something that overall just makes it look a lot better designed. If you have a floating piece of paper in a game that is relatively very realistic in the graphics and how it is presented, this is going to be something that throws you off as a viewer that you may notice a little bit more than if it was just lying on the barren floor of the window. So it's something that does add a little bit more plausibility to it, and as well is something that just may sneak underneath your nose a little bit here with it. That said though, that's going to move us into the fourth change with this one. This one once again is a little bit more of something that may have gone right underneath your nose, but it's one that you guys directly requested here to me, so I figured I'd throw it in here for you guys. You guys are now directly affecting this 5 things, so thank you for the submission, thank you for the suggestion, and this one is going to be Nikolai's new appearance in Modern Warfare Remastered. Nikolai is a recurring character from the Modern Warfare series, and as you know him, he is a very Russian dude. He looks almost identical to what you'd imagine a Russian guy to look like. Yes, that kind of hinges on the stereotype of a Russian, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it is something that his character did have the distinct features that the other Russian characters within the Call of Duty series have collectively. So that said, in the original, he is something that whenever you rescue him in COD 4 as a prisoner, you get to see him face to face, and he's somebody that does have those Russian properties to him. However, a lot of you guys pointed out that he is a lot more Americanized in the Modern Warfare Remastered version, but the build and the thickness of his face, the exact build of him, is slightly different here and is something that does give off a little bit of a difference that you can pick up on immediately. Whether or not you actually looked for it or not, that is something that is completely up to you, and I couldn't tell you, but it's something that upon my first playthrough, I didn't really take a look at it, I didn't try to notice it, but whenever I saw that there were some things different within the campaign, I started looking around, and at that point, then I did see the differences with Nikolai here within. So that said, again, a very minor change, something that you may not have noticed immediately, but it is something that his character was just slightly changed and altered a little bit here within the design. Now, the final change here within this one is going to be one dealing with the mission FNG, the very first training mission. It is something that I noticed a little bit of a difference whenever I went over and played this over and over again to try and just mess around within the training courses with it. It's something that whenever you go over to the explosives ordinances training, that is where there's going to be this last difference. Previously, after you went through the different grenade as well as noob tube training situations, you'll be prompted to get C4, and from there, you would then go into the middle of the giant lane that is in the middle of all of the hangar facilities, and there would be a car just randomly sitting in there, which, as somebody that would use common sense, I wouldn't expect something to be blown up with C4 right in the general vicinity that isn't really contained and everybody could walk right past it. I don't think that's a great idea, but that's neither here nor there. That is where it was previously. It was right in the middle of everything pretty much within that mission. However, within this now remastered version of FNG, there is a section that is brand new to the design of the explosive ordnance area. From there, there is a little side area where there is the same car updated and then able to be blown up the same exact way. However, it is not in the same location. It's a little bit different, just changed up here and there, and I think once again makes a little bit more logical sense because you're not having a car exploding where people are running laps back and forth right past it. So it's something that makes a lot more logical sense, and from a design aspect, you want to fit that realism and the realistic point of view. So it's something that is nice, and once again, just a little bit of a change up, something that is a little trivial, but still cool nonetheless, I think. So that's gonna wrap it up here today, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this 5 things that changed. Leave your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Did you guys like these changes? Did you guys not like them? Whatever it may be, I'd love to hear your thoughts down there. But if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like rating down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing to stay up to date, because once again, we do this series all the time. I'm trying to keep it with 2 episodes per week, one for a campaign change and then a multiplayer regarding Modern Warfare Remastered or Infinite Warfare change on a Thursday, but I don't necessarily know how long we can keep up the campaign changes, so we'll see how that goes. But once again, if you guys subscribe, you'll be notified every single time that we put one up, and you guys will not miss a beat. So that said, thank you guys so much for watching, though. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this one. I had a lot of fun making it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy as well. But mine has been Nikolai. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.